You're good to go.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I will give everyone just a few seconds to join, but I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Alex, and I'm from Elmer's, and I will be doing a rocket ship activity with you guys today. So I know I can't see you guys, but if you guys want to give a little wave at the bottom just to say hi, that would be awesome. If you guys want to do a little dance because it's Friday and you're excited for the weekend, you can do that at home. Super excited to be here with you guys today. Like I said, we'll be doing a rocket ship, but all week long, Elmer's has been sharing activities with you guys. So if you haven't been able to join those, you guys can go to michaels.com/classes and find the recordings of those videos. So my friends Jonathan and Courtney did some activities and some slime activities that were so awesome. So if you guys want to go back and do those, or maybe you joined and you just want to do them again, feel free. It'd be so much fun. So they did a really great job, but I'm excited to be closing out the week with you guys doing this activity. So I'll kind of start with the materials that we need and then we can get started. So if you went to the project online, you would have seen that there were some pages that you could print out. If you didn't print them out, that's totally fine. I can kind of give you some measurements as we go along, and that'll help you with cutting out the appropriate pieces. But you'll also need some paper, glue, a pencil, and some scissors, and a marker to kind of help draw things. So you can see the project right here. I did one earlier this week. And I'll show you a couple of different options that you can use to make these too, just in case you don't have these materials. If you don't have anything available, feel free to just follow along with us now, and then you can always buy the materials later and do this project once it's back up online. So, all right, we can get started. So if you do have these pages printed out, perfect. We are going to start with cutting these out. These are going to be the pieces that you use to trace onto your construction paper, your cardstock paper, any foam that you may have to create this. So what you're going to want to do is cut along the solid lines on this paper. So if you don't have this printed out, you're just going to take a regular piece of paper or whatever you may have and cut a small sliver of it off the side. So maybe a thumb's length, draw a line, and then you're just going to cut straight down. So we can do that here. I'm going to use the templates first just to make it a little bit easier for me. Perfect. So this will be the body of your rocket ship. We'll put that to the side, and then we will get to work cutting out the other pieces. So this is going to be the top of your rocket ship, like you can see here. So if you don't have this cut out again, if you have maybe a bowl or something that's in the shape of a circle, you can use that and you can trace it and then cut out a circle. And then once you cut the circle, you can cut out a chunk of it, kind of like a piece of pie if you were eating a piece of pie out of it. So we will cut this out. And guys, today I'm going to be asking you some questions about space. So I did some research while I was preparing for this project about different things in space because I find it really interesting. And with the recent space launch, we thought this was the perfect project to share with you guys. So as we're cutting this out and as you're cutting out your circle, I'll start with my first question. You guys can answer in the chat what you think the answer is. So my first question is, when an astronaut goes to the moon, how long do their footprints stay on the surface of the moon? So let me know what you think. And then Lindsay, if you want to let me know as they start answering what some of their answers are. Next, we are going to start cutting out these smaller circles. So these will be the window of the rocket ship and where your astronaut will be sitting. So if you don't have this printout available, you can just cut out 2 different size circles. So you'll want a smaller one to fit inside the larger one.
We have a lot of people saying 4 hours, 10 days, 100 days. Forever is a popular answer.
Those are all really good guesses. So if you said forever, you're right. So there's no wind on the moon. So there's nothing to blow away their footprints. So unless somebody were to go up there and sweep them away, their footprints are going to stay there forever, which I think is really cool. So we have the larger window, and then we will cut out the smaller circle as well. I just cut off kind of the trims of the paper to make it a little bit easier for me to get cutting. Perfect. All right, so we'll put those to the side as well, and make sure to move your scraps out of the way, unlike I did, just so you don't get anything confused, and we make sure that we have all of the correct pieces. Now we're going to cut out the wing of our rocket ship. So you really only need one because we can trace it twice. But if you printed it out twice, you can also use that and have 2 wings. Do we have any questions from anybody? Or are we good to keep going?
I think it's looking like people are not having too many questions.
Well, then I will ask you guys another question. So if many of you know that we just had the recent SpaceX launch, does anybody know the names of the astronauts that went up? Let me know. And if anybody knows the name of their space shuttle, let me know too, because I think that one's really cool. It's an animal for a hint. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we are going to take the pieces that we cut out and we're gonna trace them to then cut out on our construction paper. Or if you have cardstock paper or foam, really any of that works. If you don't have paper, a really good alternative that I've found is using a toilet paper roll for the body of the rocket ship. It just makes it really sturdy. You can use this, you can always cover it in construction paper, but we'll be going with the standard paper method this time. Do we have any guesses of the astronauts' names? All right, I guess not.
Bob and Doug, Neil Armstrong.
Awesome, these are really great guesses. Yes, the 2 astronauts that just went up, their names are Bob and Doug. Did anybody know the name of the shuttle that they went up in? So what we're gonna do now is you can either trace the paper that you cut out onto your construction paper, and then you'll cut out the rectangle that you drew. So it's a little tough to see, but you'll just use the template and then cut it out with your paper. So here I'm using white, but you can really use any color paper that you want and make it your own. So I think that's the really cool thing about this is none of it has to be perfect. None of it has to look exactly like mine. You can just have fun with it. So we'll cut this out and put it to the side for right now as well. Next, we are going to move on to the top of the rocket ship and the window and the wings. So what you're going to want to do is lay out your pieces, and then you're going to trace these as well. So you can use whatever color you want. You can make the wings different colors. You can make the wings a different color than the top. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to use red again, and I will just start by tracing my wings. So the important part with the wings is that you're going to want to trace them going opposite ways so that you have one in each direction. So I'll flip this over and then trace it the other way. Then we can trace our circle. So like I said earlier, if you don't have the printout, that's a-okay. You can just take anything that's a shape of a circle and trace it and use it for that. So we will trace this now as well. Did anybody watch the recent space launch? You can just kind of say yes or no in the chat if you want. I did. I watched it online live, and it was the coolest thing. It was really, really neat. So if you saw it, I think that's a really cool opportunity. I think there are still videos of it online, so I would definitely check it out if you haven't. So
We have a lot of people who watched it.
Awesome. That's so cool. I thought it was really exciting. I would love to go to Florida one time and watch it happen, but that's really, really cool. So I'm just going to start cutting out the pieces that I just traced. And then we will put these to the side as well. So I did find that when I was cutting this out, when you're tracing the template, there is a little circle in the middle. And it really helps with being able to overlap these pieces when you're making the top of the rocket. But if you can't do that, totally fine, and you'll still have a perfect top to your rocket. So if you have a full circle right now, make sure to cut out a piece of the pie. So just a little chunk, really doesn't matter how big because you're going to be overlapping it, but whatever feels right. Maybe kind of your middle finger to your thumb, that width will probably work for the outside of the circle, depending on how big your circle is. So
Alex, just 1 second, sorry. Lindsay, can you share where you can find the template for the project for today? I know a lot of people kind of got started a little bit later, and I've been seeing a lot of questions.
I've been answering the questions. I've been typing the answers. I can see about answering live and seeing if that shows up in the chat more.
And I can go back a little bit and just kind of, for those that may have joined a little late or that don't have the template, I can go back over what we have already cut, if that would be helpful for you guys. So what we have here for the body of the rocket is just, you can take any sheet of paper and just cut off a little bit of it. So maybe a thumb's length of the paper, cut that away so you have something a little bit smaller. And eventually we're going to roll this up and it'll be the body of our rocket ship. Then we are also cutting out a circle if you don't have the template, and then cutting out a piece of it for the top of the rocket. So we'll be rolling this as well to be the top of the rocket like this. So now we are going to cut out the wings of the rocket. So if you don't have the template or anything like that, anything that kind of resembles a wing to you, feel free to draw it. You can really do anything that you want with this. So you could make it look like lightning. You could make them look really any way, squiggly lines, straight lines, anything is perfect. So feel free to get creative and make sure to cut out 2 of them. So I'm going to cut those out now as well. Is anybody using different colors to make their rocket other than red, white, and blue? I'd love to know how creative you guys are getting.
We have some people who are doing black, red, and orange, yellow, green, blue, and green.
That is really cool. There's so many options that you can do. Nothing's right, which is perfect. You can really get creative and have fun with this. So next we are going to cut out the window and then the area where our astronaut will be sitting. So if you don't have the template, totally fine. What we're going to be doing is cutting out 1 larger circle and 1 smaller circle. So you're going to want to make sure that this is going to fit on the side of your rocket. So kind of like this. So if you don't have the template, don't get too big with the circles, but just make sure one is smaller than the other. So I'm going to make my back window this darker blue. So I'm going to trace my larger circle with the color that I want in the back. And then we will cut that out. The next part is where I kind of had fun with this with my astronaut. It can be an astronaut, it could be an alien, or whatever you're going to draw inside your window. I think it'd be fun to get creative with it. So whatever you want to draw inside, you can. I'll show you what I'm going to be drawing, but you can do anything, and I'll show you the things that I had done before when I was practicing. So now I'm just cutting out the smaller circle, which is where my creature, astronaut, or whatever it is will be sitting. So this will go on top of the larger circle. Perfect, yeah, so everybody should be able to see on your screens where you guys can find the links. So you can find the instructions there if you want to follow along at a different time, or this video will be up tomorrow as well, so you can follow along later. But you can find the template in step 1, and you can print that out if you guys have a printer, or you can kind of use that as a guide to cut out your construction paper, your cardstock paper, or whatever it is. Perfect. So we have everything cut out now, but the one thing we need to do is go back to the body of our rocket ship. So on the template, you're going to see, or just here on the screen, you're going to see there are these 2 slits here. So these are to be able to put the rocket wings inside of. So my best suggestion for this is to lay the template on top of the paper. If you don't have the template, totally fine. I would recommend folding your paper like a hot dog. So you don't have to fold it completely. You can just kind of hold it closed without bending the edge. Then you're going to want to cut small slits in the paper. So the key here is not going all the way to the end, but you just want to cut a little bit in the middle. And you're going to want to do 2 of these. So if you take your template off, then you'll see in your other paper that you have the slits there. And when you roll this up, you'll be able to see them open and you can put your wings inside. Any questions, or does anybody need me to go back and re-explain anything? I'm happy to do that, so just let me know and we can go over anything again. If not, we can get to my favorite part personally, is drawing whatever you want to go inside of your rocket. So if you look at the overhead camera, you can see what I did in my practice rocket. So right here, I did a dog. Not the best dog, but you guys are super creative, so feel free to have fun with it. I'm sure a lot of you can draw a better dog than I can. You can do that. You can do an alien. You can draw yourself in there. So feel free to have fun with it. You can use markers, pens, whatever you may have at home. So what I'm going to do is draw an alien to go inside of mine. So I'm going to draw his body, just 2 little lines down, and then a circle for his head. And the lines here don't have to be perfect because I'm going to be coloring him in, so it's okay. Then I'm going to draw his antenna. And then I'm going to color in his head. What's everybody drawing inside of their window? Is anybody doing their pet? Is anybody doing a friend? Themselves? Let me know. And then what I'm going to do to make this a little more fun is I'm going to add some wiggle eyes. So these will just make it kind of funny when you play with your rocket ship. You can see the eyes move around and they'll seem a little more lifelike, which is always fun. So what I'm actually going to...
People who are drawing themselves in the spaceship.
Oh, awesome. Does anybody want to be an astronaut when they grow up? I always thought that would be really cool. But obviously that did not pan out. So what I'm going to do is take these eyes and then I'm just going to stick them on the head of the alien. So take your Elmer's glue right on the back of the eye and just stick it right on.
And we have a question on if they should draw on the bigger or the smaller circles.
Yeah, that's a great question. So you'll want to draw on the smaller circle. Whatever creature you're going to put in it, you'll want to put on the smaller circle. And then the larger circle will actually go right behind it. So you can decorate the bigger circle if you want to do like waves or something like that. So you could always do little squiggles on the back one. So you won't be able to see all of the lines, but you can see them behind the smaller one. Perfect. So now that I have both of mine decorated, and I really like the idea of coloring them back, just to make it a little bit more fun. So what we can do is take our smaller circle and put some glue on the back. We're going to glue this to the larger circle so that they'll be connected when we glue it to the body of our rocket ship. So if some glue comes out the sides, that's totally okay. You can wipe it away or just let it dry, either way. So here is my window with my little alien that's going to be going on the side of my rocket. So as we're going along, as you guys are creating and making things today, if you guys want to share these or have your parents share them online, if you hashtag Make It With Michaels or tag at Elmer's Products, we'll be excited to see whatever you're making and share it. So make sure to take pictures, make sure to share it as long as your parents are okay with it. And we're excited to see what you guys make. So we will move on to the body of the rocket now. So this one's kind of a little bit easier, I think, than the top of the rocket, but what you're going to want to do here is roll up your larger piece of paper. So if you think of it like a toilet paper roll, this is how you're going to be rolling it. So take the edge of your paper and roll it up. The one thing you're going to want to make sure of is that when you're rolling it, that you can still see the two slits where you cut for your wings. So once you have it in a good place, make sure you feel good about it, then we can take some Elmer's glue and put it on the edge of the paper. And then we will stick it together. So just like that. Once you're done, you're going to have a really cool tube. And that is the body of your rocket ship. Make sure to press it really nice, and it should stay. So it just looks pretty simple like that. And then it'll stand up. And then what we're going to do is put some glue onto the larger circle of our window, and then we can stick that to the body of the rocket ship. So what we'll want to do here is make sure that wherever your two slits are, you're putting your window in between those. So you don't want to put this over them so that you still have room for your wings. So you can stick that on there and just be gentle that you're not squishing the body of your rocket. So once you're done, it's going to look something like this. I'm sure yours look awesome with whatever you drew inside and whatever colors you guys chose. Do we have any questions or anything so far?
I think some people would like to see you try to explain that again. And we also have some questions on if they could use a cup instead of a toilet roll, and tips on if they're using a toilet roll instead of paper, what they should do.
Yeah, of course. So I will start with folding the paper again. So we'll start with this one first, and then we can get into the other options as well. So when you have your paper, you're going to want to roll it so that it looks very similar to a toilet paper roll. So taking one end of the paper and sticking it to the other. So it's going to look like that on the inside, and you'll have some paper overlapping on the inside. So you don't want to fold it too tightly so that you don't have any creases, but you want it to be round in the center. Then you're going to take the edge of the outside of your roll and put some glue on it, just like this. And then you will stick that to the outside of your roll. So when you're done, it should look just like that. And you'll have your two slits on either side. So make sure not to cover those when you're rolling it up. If you have a toilet paper roll, so you can just use this as is. You could always just use the brown paper that's on this. You could color it with some markers. You could cover it in paper. So if you want to cover it with paper, I would recommend measuring out your toilet paper roll and the length of it, and then you can cut the paper so that it's the same height as the toilet paper roll. Just like this. And then I would recommend putting some glue on your toilet paper roll and attaching your paper, and then wrapping it around the toilet paper roll, just like this. Then once you get to the end of the paper, you want to grab your glue again and then attach the outside of it to the toilet paper roll. So it'll look just like that if you have paper. If you don't, and you just want to leave the toilet paper roll as is, then you can just take your alien, your window, and glue it directly to the toilet paper roll. So there really are no rules. You can get as creative as you want. You can color the toilet paper roll. You can do anything. If you have a cup, I hope it's a disposable cup, because I don't think your parents would love you using one of their nice cups. So if it is a disposable cup, then you can definitely use that too. So I would take the cup. Unfortunately, I don't have one with me, but you can take the cup, make sure your parents are okay with you doing it, and then take your alien and glue it to the outside of the cup. If you don't have glue, you can use tape. That could work as well. But yeah, there are lots of options. Does that help? Does anybody else have any other questions on that, or need me to go back?
Not at this time.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now we are going to put in the wings of our rocket. So you have your wings cut out like this, and then you have the slits cut in your rocket as well. So what you're going to want to do is just simply slide it in there. And you'll take the other one for the other side and slide it in as well. So it'll sit like this. Make sure that your wings are facing out, or if you cut them in a different way and you want them to face either way, go for it. Do whatever you want. Make it really cool. So my wings are facing down. That is almost the last step of the rocket, but I think it looks pretty cool. I really like the googly eyes on my alien. And now we are going to do the top. So it's this cylinder right here, kind of a cone shape. So we're going to take out the circle that we cut earlier. If you don't have one yet, if maybe you joined a little bit later, totally fine. If you have something that's in the shape of the circle, go ahead and trace that, cut it out, and then cut out a piece of it. This just makes it a little easier to kind of overlap them when you're making your cone shape for the top of your rocket. So if you have your piece already, we can go ahead and place glue along one of the edges of the opening. So just like this, from with a little bit of glue. And then you'll overlap your pieces. Make sure to press it down so that the paper's stuck together. If you get some on the outside, like I said earlier, totally fine. You can either wipe it away with your finger or just kind of let it dry where it is if you don't want to get too messy. Perfect. So now to connect the top of your rocket to the body of the rocket. What I found is a little bit easier is to glue, put a little bit of glue. You don't want to put too much so it doesn't drip down onto the table, but put a little bit of glue along the top of the body of your rocket. So you can do it every once in a while, just kind of right along the edge. And then you're going to take the top and just sit it on top. So it's gonna look like this in the end. It's gonna be sitting on top. I would recommend letting it sit for just a little bit to make sure that it really dries and sticks to the body of your rocket. But it's gonna look great. So here is my somewhat finished rocket. Just wanna make sure the top stays on. So just to kind of have more fun with it, you can always take some of our other glues as well and spice it up by coloring the outside of the body of the rocket. You can use some glow-in-the-dark glue. You could always draw stars on it. You could use glitter glue. You can also use a marker just to make it a little bit more fun. Okay, I actually have 2 more space questions for you guys as we're finishing up our rockets. So does anybody know what the largest planet in our solar system is? Let me know. I'll tell you guys in just a few minutes, but I hope everybody's rockets are looking great. I'm sure however you made them, they're fantastic. So I'm excited to see them if you guys post them. Maybe you could also take, if you have extra construction paper, maybe create some of the planets out of it. Just create an entire solar system and pretend like you're going to space. If any of you guys had wanted to be astronauts when you grew up, now's your chance. You know, you can always pretend. You can practice for when the real day comes. So do we have any guesses for the largest planet in our solar system?
Everybody is saying Jupiter. It's unanimous.
You're all geniuses. I didn't know that. So you guys probably could have taught me that. That's awesome. Yeah, the largest planet is Jupiter. Does anybody know what the smallest planet in our solar system is? Let me know what you guys think.
We have a few saying Pluto, Mercury, Neptune, Mars.
Yeah, these are great answers. So the smallest planet is actually Mercury, which I think is really cool. So those of you that guessed Mercury, you're so smart. All of you are smart, but you know, it's good that you knew that because I didn't know that either. I learned a lot about the solar system when I was researching for this, so that's really cool. Did you guys know that Jupiter is actually 2.5 times larger than all of the other planets combined? I think that's crazy. That's huge. That's so big. Does anybody have any other questions or any questions about how they can do anything else to their rocket? Any plans for the weekend? Any fun activities you're doing? You can take your rocket with you. Make sure to take pictures with it. Make sure to make some extra rockets. Make some planets. Have fun with it. You know, I think this is just the start to your solar system that you could create. Any questions? Anything?
We have a few people wondering if you could show one more time how to do the slit cut.
On the side, the body of it?
Yes.
Perfect, of course. So I'm just going to cut this piece of paper just to show as an example. I found it easiest and safest to cut it this way. So when you still have your piece of paper flat, if you fold it like a hot dog, that's how I learned it, so long ways, you can go about 1/3 of the way down and just cut a little slit in it. So you don't want to cut all the way to the edge of the paper. You just want to stop right before that. And then you're going to go a little bit further down and cut another one. So then when you roll up your paper to make the body of the rocket, you'll want to make sure you don't cover those so that you can stick your wings in them. So you'll see mine's rolled up, and you can still see this one and this one on your paper. So then once you glue that back together to create the body of your rocket ship, you can then take the wing that you have, or any of them that you may have made, and you'll just slide it right in. Any other questions?
We have some people wondering if they can add fire to the bottom of their rocket, like paper fire.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I can actually get some paper and we can do that right now too. So I'm guessing you guys are kind of talking about having it at the bottom of the rocket. So that would be really, really cool. That's a great idea. So you can really draw fire however you want, however you think it would look best. I'm going to do some jagged lines, and I'm going to do orange and yellow so you can see part of my flame right here. So I will cut that out. Is anybody else adding anything different to their rocket? Fire, anything else? Maybe an astronaut hanging outside of it? That would be really cool. I definitely don't have the skill to do that, but I'm sure you guys do. So we can add fire, and then I'll make a little bit of a larger one to go outside just to give it some more color. I'll cut this one out too. And this really doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously mine is not, but just have fun with it, and anything that you want to add is super cool. Make sure to share these if you guys want, because I'd love to see what you guys made during this class. So I'm going to take my orange one and actually glue it inside of the yellow just to give it some additional color. So glue that down, and then I'm going to glue it into my rocket. So I'm going to put some glue just right at the top of the back of the flame, and then stick it right to the inside of the rocket. I think that looks pretty cool. What an awesome idea, guys. And just let that sit and dry. I hope everybody's rockets are coming out really well. If you have any other questions, let us know. But I think you can do a lot of fun things with these.
People have added extra windows.
Ooh.
Logo.
That's awesome. If you added extra windows, are your friends coming with you? Are you bringing a pet? Are you bringing family? Anyone else? That'd be really cool. Awesome. Well, I hope everybody's rockets are coming out awesome. I wish I could see them all right now, but since I can't, make sure to share them at #MakeItWithMichaels or at Elmer's Products. And I'd love to see them and see what you guys have created and all the additional things you did to it, like a flame, the extra windows and things like that. But I've had so much fun with you guys today, and this whole week has been awesome. So as a reminder, Elmer's has been doing classes all week long. So Jonathan did some rolled paper flowers on Monday. Courtney did slime and some jars on Tuesday. Jonathan came back and did a rainbow salt art canvas on Wednesday. Courtney was back again yesterday with slime and some tricks. She taught you how to make a really cool bubble. So I really recommend going back and watching those and doing those activities if you haven't already. If not, that's okay. You don't have to, but if you want to do this activity again, or maybe you didn't have the materials for this, it should be available pretty soon online. So make sure to go to michaels.com/classes, and you can watch this class again and maybe use some different materials. If you want to try it again with a toilet paper roll, you can always do that, or with different kind of paper, or with foam or anything like that. So it's been really fun hanging out with you guys all week, and I hope you've had fun getting creative and you found some new activities that you can do with Elmer's glue, or any glue, or paper, or salt and paint and things like that. But it's been so much fun. If you guys don't have any other questions, it has been awesome, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. So I'll see you guys later.